So you're back with Rochester, a different organization, but still the Rochester Knighthawks, still Rochester, New York. How does it feel to be back in this building?
It's exciting. It's a place I've always had fun playing. A lot of really good memories from my first years. Walking the halls, you think of different guys that you played with, and a lot of the guys that are in the now Halifax and guys that have moved on too. And funny enough, now one of them is our coach and Dylan Evans. So it makes me feel a little bit old, but it's also just a ton of fun. It's close to home. It's a spot where my family's got a lot of memories too, just coming to games. So definitely something I'm excited about.
Just talked with the head coach, Mike Hazen. He made it sound like this is something that they had thought about before even this offseason. Curious for you, when did this become a reality, and how did the discussions go in the offseason leading up to you signing here?
Yeah, I think it's sports are a funny thing that way. There's always, especially in the lacrosse world, there's guys that chit chat with each other, guys know each other, and based on my situation in New York last year, I think it was something that was even explored at the deadline, and then just didn't work out. But again, I love those guys there and everything they did for me. And then, to get the call this summer that the trade was happening, I think there was mixed emotions of, like anything it's like getting taken out of your workplace of people you're always around. But at the same time, it's an opportunity. And then there's a certain comfortability that it's kind of coming home, which for me is pretty cool, being around for whatever 7 odd years now. To kind of come full circle and be back in Rochester, it's an awesome feeling.
This is the first time you've been back with the Knighthawks in 5 years, 2018. How much have you changed as a player, going from a young guy, basically a rookie, to someone who now has quite a bit of games under his belt?
Yeah, I think it's just over time has become an understanding that you get humbled in a hurry in this league. I think coming in, you expect to be, whether it's a goal scorer, ball carrier, or whatever, but it's so rare to make that transition, and each team has one or two of those guys. So I think over that time span, I've just been surrounded by a bunch of guys that have kind of taught me to take on a different role, whether that's moving without the ball, setting picks, or sometimes when I'm not playing in the game. I think some of the most, I guess the most I've learned is watching this game. So if I'm not dressed and I'm up top, you can get a pretty good view from up there. So I think that's helped me mature a little bit. Again, kind of manage the ups and downs of the mental side of the game too. But yeah, I think now just kind of both personally and playing wise, it's changed into just being more well-rounded for sure.
Being someone like that who's now played for a few years and experienced those ebbs and flows, is that something that you can pass on as tutelage to, Thomas McConvey or any of the younger players or rookies that are stepping into this league here with the Knighthawks?
Yeah, I think so. I think, for me, step one is earning the ability to put the jersey on here. So I think, in my mind, that's goal number one, is to show that I belong on this team and earn a spot. And then maybe that stuff will come as we go. But anytime you're playing lacrosse, these guys are great. Everyone knows each other from either playing against or hearing about them, and so conversations happen throughout practice and games and things like that you can grow, and hopefully I can kind of grow into a position where I can offer that information.
You referred to returning to Rochester as almost a homecoming of sorts. When you departed this team 5 years ago, is that something you would have thought of, that, hey, maybe this door will always be open and maybe there'll be a day I come back? I mean, good memories from those early years?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if there's one thing I've learned of playing in the NLL, it's that you never know what is going to happen. Whether it's a flight delay, bags getting lost, things changing, or a turf not being down. It's, a former Nighthawk and Dan Dawson once told me that the only certainty is uncertainty in the NLL, and so you never really know that what's going to happen. So I left Rochester for what I thought was another great opportunity. So it was no bad feelings or anything like that. So it was I think in the back of my mind there was always a piece of my heart that was down in Rochester. So I'm more than happy to be back.
You were with the team in New York that didn't make the playoffs. You're now with a team that the expectations have kind of risen since they've returned to postseason play from a year ago. Does that add to the motivation, fuel to the fire, to be with what looks to be a very exciting core that's coming back, and to bring you back into that fold and hopefully go deeper into the playoffs?
Yeah, I for sure. I think anytime you pick up a stick, if your idea isn't to win and make playoffs, then you shouldn't be picking up a stick anymore. And I think there's definitely an excitement level that, to me, obviously knowing Hazen and Dan Carey and I, go back far as well. And when he was in Colorado and it was my draft year, there was talks of that happening, and so we know each other well as well. And I think just thinking of all those things and the guys in the room, and to me, it was a no-brainer when I was asked if that would basically asked if it would be okay if I got traded. It's like, yes, of course it would be okay. It's fantastic that it worked out this way, and again, the playoffs has been set as the standard, and that's the plan moving forward.
The resumes of these players are out here. So even of the guys that you haven't played with, like who Connor Fields is, right? Yeah. So what is the level of excitement for you just in this opening day or so of training camp to be around the resumes that you're around, and how confident do you feel just from this kind of elevator start of training camp to see the talent that's on this roster and the potential that it has?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You look around, there's guys that have done incredible things in every league that they've played in. Guys that have been around this league for a long time, a good veteran core, as well as young guys that are awesome players and eager to learn. So it's exciting. It's one of those things that you kind of have to draw the excitement in a little bit, and just try not to do too much, and do what the coaching staff is looking for, and go out there and just have some fun with the guys.